Morning, all. So we're gonna do a little discussion on the preview, and then we're gonna do a little bit of news of the day, and then we're gonna get ready for some hockey starting at noon my time, 3 o'clock Eastern, which is kind of the standard now. It runs all day, and that of course will change next week when we'll only have 4 series on instead of 8, and things pare down rather quickly. And so far, so good. So let's start off. Calgary, Dallas. This is a tied series at 2 games apiece. Dallas has to show they can score for more than one game. They score in game 2, they score in game 4, they couldn't score in game 3, and their scoring was lax in game 1. They need to show consistency in that scoring. They need more from their top players. They need more from guys like Sagan, Ben, and Radulov. This is a storyline that's been going on for a while. And so that's where Dallas is at. Now, on the Calgary side, they do need more from their top line as well. And this is where the two teams are very similar. Now, one area where Calgary's doing quite well is the physical side from Sam Bennett. He has 47 hits, which is tops in the NHL in the return, and by a lot. It's not by a small number either. So Bennett's had a very, very good series so far for the Flames. I would expect that to continue. And if his level of effort is infectious on the rest of the squad, good. You can't always say that about Sam Bennett this season, but I've always thought, that the potential was there. The one that's still a curiosity for me with Calgary is Jankowski. I think the talent's there, just for whatever reason that consistency isn't. And this year his scoring just wasn't there at all. So I don't know what to make of Jankowski. But for the Flames, they just have to come out and do what they did in games 1 and 3. And for Talbot, he has to do what he was able to do in games 1 and 3. And somewhere, Riddick is waiting his turn. So for the Flames, if they win this one, being up 3-2 is huge. And again, for Dallas, much the same thing. Whoever wins this game today likely wins the series. And it's not really a controversial statement to say because, in a tied series, whoever wins game 5 will usually win the series. It's just kind of sort of the way that goes. So, Chicago fans who are believers right until the end, they will see whether or not their faith is going to be rewarded, as the Blackhawks are trying to stave off elimination again. So that was Crawford that did it last game, and nobody else did a whole lot to keep them in this, which is part of the reason why we looked at that game and said, so Crawford won this game, not the Blackhawks. So it's a matter of whether or not Taves and Kane and all these guys can come out and produce in game 5 and stave off elimination again. And it's so weird because, I say, well, they're not going to come back from 3-0 down. People go, Shannon did it. It's a reverse sweep. Like it happens all the time. Like it's something that just happens a lot in hockey. When we could say, well, it happened in 2010. Yeah, it was 10 years ago. Well, remember the Sharks? That's the Sharks against the Kings. And again, Vegas doesn't feel like a team that's going to blow a 3-0 series lead. Take it from a Bruins fan. That 2010 team, they got what they had coming to them. At 2010, it was just Boston. It felt like after they won that third game, their effort level just kind of took a bit of a nosedive. We didn't see that with Vegas in this series. We didn't see that in Game 4, and I don't think we'll see it in Game 5 either. This is a very talented, very focused team. Chicago, they've been game, but they don't have the depth, I don't think, to keep up with Vegas. But hey, once the playoffs get rolling, things change. And teams that we looked at and said, well, they probably shouldn't be in this position, all of a sudden there's this, hey, you can't count them out. Hey, don't you dare. And I remember that a lot last year when we were on the verge of sweeps, with people going, hey, don't you count Pittsburgh out. Hey, don't count the Islanders out. Hey, don't you count Carolina out. So, apologies, but it really doesn't happen very often. So, Philadelphia and the Montreal Canadiens. Yeah, I'm using an old Montreal Canadiens logo. That's the old 1950s style. Because it's almost exactly the same as what they have now. There's very little difference. The C's a little wider. It's a little more open. That's it. There is no other difference between that and the regular logo. Coloring is minorly different, but not very much. So Philadelphia, they're up 2-1 off of that snooze fest that we saw in Game 3. And there isn't any reason to really change anything if you're Philadelphia. Maybe just crank up the excitement just a little bit. I don't know. More hitting shots, more energy, more of just the hockey stuff that we like, the hockey stuff. And from Montreal, I understand they didn't want to run up the score again after Game 2, but they took it to a ridiculous level. You guys are allowed to score. It almost felt like they went, hey, they got mad at us for scoring too many points last time. So, guys, come on. We got to be nice here to Philly. And, of course, there's the Lindblom being a part of this, too, with Philadelphia. I haven't heard he's playing. I don't know when he's playing. But he's practicing with the team. He's cleared. So once they feel that he's up to speed, Lindblom gets added to the lineup. Montreal needs to get the victories before that happens, because adding Lindblom to the Flyers might be exactly what they need. Sort of like how when he had the cancer diagnosis and left the lineup, it inspired his teammates. His team got better. Not because he was out, but they were rallying around his illness and him being out of the lineup. So, yeah, which I think Boston's done too since Tuukka Rask decided to leave the bubble. I think Boston said, we got to rally as a team and prove we want to be here and we want to win this thing. So Philadelphia needs to show some of that oomph, some of that energy as well. They are the number 1 seed in the East. It's easy to forget, which I have at times, but they are the number 1 seed in the East, and they just need to come out and play like it. If they can get Montreal down 3-0, odds are this series doesn't go on for very long. So 3-1. Sorry, 3-1, then odds are this series doesn't go on very long. I would think the first goal tonight in that game means a ton. If Montreal can get that first goal and get their confidence back, great. But if Philadelphia gets that first goal, it may go their way. All right. Capitals, you're on the clock. Down 3-0. There is the possibility they will be the only team swept in the first round this year. And for the New York Islanders, they're looking to sweep a team in the first round for the second year in a row. They enjoyed it so much last year against Pittsburgh, now they want to do it against Washington. So first they did it to the 2016-2017 Stanley Cup winners, and now they want to do it to the 2018 Stanley Cup winners. So that's not a bad aspiration to have. The problem is somebody needs to explain to the Islanders they can't meet the St. Louis Blues in the first round next year, so they can't continue this trend. But for the Caps, all kidding aside, Backstrom's going to be a game-time decision, and I honestly, I'd be very surprised if he doesn't try to go. He has a work ethic that's pretty darn strong. Doesn't miss very much time. If he has any kind of ability to play, I would say 75-80%. I'd say he's in the lineup. Because for the Caps, in that last game, they looked old. This was a team that just looked like they got old and slow overnight. And the Islanders are exposing it. So this is a troubling loss for the Capitals all around. They need to show some fight. They need to get back into this series. They're not going to reverse sweep the Islanders, but we need to see more effort from Washington than we saw in Game 3. And Ovechkin's been pretty quiet because the Islanders are shutting him down. The system the Islanders play is fantastic, and if you want to take offense to me talking about the Islanders' system being excellent, as if that doesn't mean the players are really good at executing it, all right. But the system that has been instituted by Barry Trotz has been fantastic, and the fact that he's using that to take apart the team he used to coach, that's impressive too. So the Islanders can make it official tonight, and they can be the first team in the East that's into round 2, while Vegas can get into round 2 in the West, but with one loss on their record, and the Islanders would do it via a sweep. So we will see whether or not the Islanders can do it. I honestly, I wouldn't bet against them doing it. They've been so effective during these playoffs. Though, when they had the chance to sweep in the play-in round, Florida fought back. So maybe we see the Capitals do the same. Maybe. So, into news of the day now. Talking about these guys, the Ottawa Senators, who are apparently going back to this kind of a design instead of this design here. So they're apparently not trading the 3 and 5 picks for number 1. I agree with Eugene Melnick on this. It doesn't make any sense to trade picks 3 and 5, which could be Stützle and Rossi or Stützle, Drysdale, or whatever you're going to pick in those spots. Why? like, I understand Lafreniere is going to be fantastic. He's going to be a franchise level player. But this is a draft that's supposed to have 7, 8, 9 players who could be ready to play as soon as whenever next season takes place. And if you're a believer that next season could be shortened or next season could be really delayed or maybe we don't have a next season, if you're a believer of any of those things, there's even less reason to think that you have to trade for a guy who's NHL ready right now. So, yeah, the Senators, I agree with Melnick. I don't know that I've necessarily said that before, but he's right. Trading the number 3 and 5 pick in this draft doesn't make any sense. And not only that, did anybody ask the Rangers? Because I don't think the Rangers want to be trading down either. While picks 3 and 5 would be tempting, I don't think you trade down from Lafreniere. I don't think you do it. So yeah, that's not happening. That's why I haven't been reporting on all these. I know there's trade rumors that are out there, and every time I see trade rumors, I think, how? Nobody's allowed to trade anything right now. Nobody's trading anything right now. I'm pretty sure GMs aren't actually talking trade yet. It'll be after the season's over when they'll start talking trade. So, good news out of the NHL. One discussion the NHL is having is no positive tests during week 4. So there's no COVID in the bubble as of week 4. So things look good. And that's, again, it's a sign that things are good. They've also been working on the protocols for families coming in. And basically, families are going to have to do the same things as players. They're going to have to isolate as much as possible for the 7 days prior to going to the bubble. They're going to have to test negative. They're going to be tested daily in the bubble. They're going to be isolated the first 4 days in the bubble. And then once they've tested negative 4 times, they can then join the player in the player's room. And there you go. And then they're in the bubble. I would assume they can go play spike ball. They can do whatever that the other players are doing as well. And I think once we reach the conference finals and the families are in the bubble with the players, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I do. I think the NHL is going to be able to produce some pretty cool videos. And they've already been showing us some of the stuff that players are doing. When I see them playing ping pong in a hotel lobby, I'm like, man, I kind of envy that. That'd be a lot of fun. Just have a ping pong table in the middle of a hotel lobby and, have it to yourself. It would be weird. You'd have to get over how weird and the echoes and how cavernous it feels. But after all, yeah, it's kind of cool. You could play The Shining. Okay, maybe don't play The Shining. But anyways, 0 positive tests. The NHL's done very well so far. Bubble environments worked. Congratulations to them on that. And the final news of the day, August 15th is where the deadline was to sign your draft picks from certain drafts, depending on where they were, what their ages are, and all that. Some of them in 2017 would have expired, some, and in this case 2016. Colorado's number 40 pick in 2016 was Cameron Morrison. He has signed with Chicago Blackhawks. So the Blackhawks picked themselves up a free prospect for next year, and he's coming out of Notre Dame. You just never know when he might be ready. So we'll probably see more of this, where the chance to sign your draft picks expires August 15th, and other teams will be able to pick them up. I would look for the Canucks to be active in that, depending on who's available and who isn't, because that's usually where Jim Benning will go out and pick a couple guys up. But we'll see. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.